Life's a game, the world's a stage, and we are merely role players, where theatrical people play role-playing games. I'm Matt Boothman, and I'm your compere for this studio production. Here on Merely Role Players, we improvise stories to entertain ourselves and to entertain you, the audience at home. And we use role-playing games to keep the story going places even we can't see coming, because as theatrical people, we're all about maximising the drama. This is the first act of one of our studio productions, where we experiment with new formats, new role-playing games, and new genres of story. You don't have to be caught up on anything else we've produced to jump into this production, though, as I'll explain in a minute, it is a sequel to an earlier story. But even when they tie together like this, we try to make sure each of our productions tells a complete story. So if you enjoy this one and you want to try something else we've done, just find any episode with Act 1 in the title and you'll be able to jump in there. For now though, please take your seats in the studio for tonight's production of Codename Mosaic Ghost Recall, Act 1 of 2. I am joined by Strat.
Hello.
By Ellie.
Hello.
By Vikki.
Hello.
And by Helen.
Hello.
And we are all remotely recording over Zoom for this particular recording. Eagle-eared listeners, audience members, might notice that what we've got here in the cast is a Codename Mosaic reunion.
Woo!
So nice to see you all again, guys.
Back in the game.
Codename Mosaic being our Season 5 back in the Blackshore days when we were all playing ourselves, which we thought we would revisit as a studio production, but in a slightly different format this time. So rather than playing a Powered by the Apocalypse type role-playing game, we are instead playing a game called Mission Accomplished by Jeff Stormer, which is written as a super spy satire of office meetings. I think it's probably fair to assume that a lot of us have been doing a lot of office meetings over Zoom recently.
Why? Why would we have to do it remotely, Matt?
So we thought we would take Mission Accomplished, which is all about office meetings, and give it the extra twist of doing it over Zoom and satirizing not just general office meetings, but specifically Zoom office meetings. Without saying anything that could get any of us sacked, is there anything that particularly frustrates us about office Zoom meetings?
People not knowing how to use the mute button.
Yep.
We've had people in meetings having conversations with partners or dogs or children while the call is happening, and we can just hear what they're saying, which is weird.
Anyone taking the laptop to the bathroom?
Oh, Jesus. Not while I've been on the call with them.
That's pretty extreme. Yeah, not using the mute button is like a cardinal sin of Zoom meetings, but one of my pet hates is when people just have the camera position so that you can just like see the top of their head or their left shoulder or something, and I'm just like, you can see yourself on the screen.
Yeah.
Put it in the right place.
If you're going to use the camera badly, just turn it off.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a cameras on policy at work because we did so much remotely before we even had a pandemic situation, and it's the only way to see your colleagues in person, as it were. Our team's pretty good at it, but when I take meetings with some other people, sometimes it's just like, why am I looking at your forehead?
But for me, my experience has been that it's 100% men over 50. And it's always either a weird down angle on the top of their head or like their ear, or a weird up angle.
Oh, yes, no one wants that.
Do you think that's because they've been using the camera to check for bald patches or ear hair?
Yeah.
I find it's either technical incompetence or it's somebody wanting to show off the fact that they have like a 3-monitor setup and they're like, oh, sorry, I have to turn to look at my other monitor in order to look at you face on.
Yeah, I can confirm that in my case, it's been 100% incompetence.
So this is a sequel to Codename Mosaic. So just a quick recap for anybody who hasn't enjoyed that season. The salient facts are that in it, I mean, hasn't experienced the season.
This is a recap for the people who listened.
I mean, I imagine the people that listened and hated it, A, will have stopped listening, and B, won't be listening to this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm sorry.
If they've tuned in having hated that season, then I mean, whoever you are, fair play to you for coming back.
What a punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that high octane spy thriller, but I'm down for bad business meetings. That's what it was missing.
Hey, I'm always up for more admin in the shows, so...
So what happened in that season briefly was that you went on a mission against Dr. Danielle Caulfield, codenamed Mosaic by the service, the security service that you all work for, who was brainwashing agents from various different spy agencies around the world, turning them against their colleagues for some nefarious purpose that you never discovered because Agent Foxglove, who is not on this particular mission, splattered her with a helicopter.
Whoops.
On purpose.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you had all been ordered not to. He had not.
Yeah. It was a baller move.
I respected it at the time and I still do.
Agent Banks, played by Helen, is only in that season as a cameo at the very end, but still plays a very important role.
Yeah.
Exfiltrating Agent Tanktop, played by Strat, from a very dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, rescuing him from almost certain death.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
You were so broken by that point.
I was so broken.
we had such a rough time.
We really did.
It started going downhill when you got attacked and your shoulder somehow mangled by a restrained prisoner when we were questioning Gossamer right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
and then it just went downhill for Strat from there. Really.
Yeah, your injuries just kept on piling up from that point.
Down being the operative word.
Correct, yes.
So the concept...
Oh, here we go. There's a good example of what's annoying about these things, yeah.
So the concept of Mission Accomplished as a game is that you have all just been on a successful spy mission, and the game is the debrief. So the mission that you've all just been on concerned Mosaic again, despite her death. She apparently has created a digital ghost of herself, backed up on a supercomputer aboard a Fortress hovercraft, and they were going to release her into the internet using an undersea high-speed fiber optic data cable. The concept of Mission Impossible. The concept of Mission Accomplished is that you did the mission. So the things that we know at the very start are you four all survived.
At last.
And you did complete the primary mission objective, which for this mission was to deliver the digital ghost of Mosaic, Dr. Danielle Caulfield, to the service. So we know at the beginning that you all survived and you did complete that objective. You all have a mission dossier which has a bunch of other details of the mission which are not set in stone at this point. We don't know how you interacted with the key players of the mission. We don't know how the key assets of the mission figured into it. We don't know whether you achieved any of the secondary objectives, and so on and so on. So we're going to do a debrief of that mission, and throughout that, I, in character as your spy handler, I'm going to be handing out commendations for praiseworthy behavior. I will also be handing out citations for less praiseworthy behavior that goes against the values of the service. Those are bad for you. And if at any point there is a complete breakdown in the meeting, if none of you can agree on a single version of events, or if the meeting descends into a shouting match, I can also give an anarchy citation, which is bad for all of you.
Oh, it's like detention for the whole class.
Yeah. So you don't want that to happen.
No.
So you are very much encouraged to try to get praise for yourself and to cast blame on other people, while also trying to not let the meeting descend into anarchy.
Perfect.
Okay.
Make sense? Any questions?
Sounds really easy, not at all complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be getting the impression already that this game is not exactly designed to be fair.
No, it doesn't. It sounds like a shit slinging match.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of the games we've played, it is semi-competitive, so there is actually a winner and a loser to this game. The idea is, while you did complete the primary objective of the mission, there were irregularities and there were complications. And so while somebody's going to get the credit for the mission going well, or for the mission being completed, and going to get the promotion and the corner office and the company black budget credit card, somebody is going to have to take the blame for all the stuff that went wrong and get sedated and their records wiped and dumped out of a van in the middle of a roundabout in Basingstoke.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, Basingstoke has the worst roundabouts.
Yeah, so you want to be the promoted person, and you do not want to be the Basingstoke roundabout person.
Okay. Is there a real life prize and punishment?
I hope not.
I have not arranged one.
Disappointing, Matt. Disappointing.
I don't believe you. There was I haven't arranged one. At the end of this, one of us, ropes are going to come down the side of the window. 2 heavily armed people are going to kick in the windows, and we're never going to be seen again.
I have a very strong feeling that might be me, so based on my previous record.
They're going to come through the skylight of your kitchen behind you from where we can see.
That is genuinely possible.
I thought it would be something slightly less violent, like the winner and loser each receive a package in the post, and one is a really nice thing and one is a really terrible thing. I mean, the terrible thing is a poo in a box, right?
I mean, I was thinking glitter, but yeah.
If somebody that reports to you in your company did badly in a meeting, is that what you would do?
For the purposes of legality, no, that is not what I would do.
No, she'd put it on a doorstep, set it on fire, and run away. Deniability.
It's too American. I wouldn't do that.
It's very American, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any questions before we go into character and go into the game?
No, I'll be sensible now.
To a certain extent.
I mean, I won't.
All right. Do we have everybody? Is Pigeon frozen or just sitting very still?
Very still, just practicing.
Ah, very good. Maybe. Sorry, I'm not very used to this software. Perhaps if we could all just move our heads a little bit, just so that I can tell that nobody's frozen. Yes, very good. For the benefit of the recording and our impartial observers, this is the official mission debrief for Operation Codename Ghost Recall. Debrief chaired by myself, Agent Codename Cassette. 4 field agents assigned to the mission also present. Please sound off for the record in alphabetical order of codename.
Agent Anvil present.
Agent Banks present.
Agent Pigeon present.
Agent Tanktop present.
Very good. Thank you, agents, for dialing into the service's secure teleconferencing platform. I trust all of your safe houses are satisfactory.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have some fridge issues.
I was going to say, I bet Pigeon's got an issue with the fridge. Classic.
Yep.
Perhaps you can put in a complaint to requisitions.
Well, as you know, I have done that several times already, since I'm no longer allowed to include fridge issues in official field reports. And it's just not working, is it? It's not very satisfactory. So unless I can find a better route to officially complain about these things, I will be making my own routes to complain.
I'm not sure that's exactly on the agenda but perhaps save that for any other business, Pigeon.
Okie doke.
So as per service protocol, we of course begin all official service meetings with a recap of the 7 habits of highly effective service Black Ops agents. So if we can take them in order, clockwise from the top left.
But we don't know who's on your top left.
Oh, so, is it not the same for everybody?
It could be different for everybody.
You're a column for me because I've minimized you so I can see the mission dossier.
Oh, that doesn't see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on speaker view, so.
Well, Tanktop, you start.
Oh God.
Yes, sir. Of course. Number 1, commitment to excellence. I believe it goes something along the lines of every agent has a responsibility to their manager, their organization, and the world at large to deliver their best work at a consistent level year-round.
Very good. Pigeon?
Oh god, it's one of the boring ones, isn't it? Efficiency. So the service carefully budgets each mission down to the second to ensure minimal casualties and collateral damage. Avoid unnecessary tangents, side quests, subplots, and personal vendettas.
Nothing boring about the values that bind us all together in the service, Pigeon.
Says you, Cassette.
Banks.
Team spirit. We're all in this together. Stick together, look out for one another, and keep your fellow agents informed at all times. Avoid selfish actions, petty grudges, impulsive decisions, and lone wolf tactics.
And Anvil.
Personal development. The service wants to see you become your best self. YOLO. Be willing to seize opportunity, own your achievements, reach for the brass ring. Lean in, grab the ball by the horns, carpe diem.
I've always said we should probably rephrase that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I believe the typing, the marketing pool, the copywriting pool is hard at work on constantly refreshing our wording so it can be the best it can possibly be.
I feel like the original wording there is just Brenda having a laugh, isn't it?
The fifth of the 7 habits, of course, is respect for authority. Summit and the service have your best interests in mind, so do cooperate with them above all else. As the representative of the service, I may deliver additional infractionable offences during this debriefing session, and my decisions are to be respected. And continuing in the same order.
Inventory management, not infantry management, of course. Agents are assigned a standard issue survival kit upon mission deployment. We are, thank you very much for that. It came in useful. Unregistered contraband, whether brought on the mission or taken back from the mission, puts your fellow agents at risk.
Who was next? I've lost track.
I think it was Pigeon.
Oh, right. Sorry. I was just trying to think of a good quip for that one, but I didn't have one. Fiscal responsibility. Proper mission budgeting is a huge part of what makes the service so very effective. Be sure to file all expected expenses with accounting before deployment and avoid unnecessary spending, unapproved purchases, damaging expensive equipment, and unplanned costs. Cool, that was an exciting one, wasn't it?
Of course, we're all very familiar with the 7 habits of highly effective service black ops agents.
It's always lovely to hear them again.
We live these values on every day, whether we're in the field or in the office. But it's always good to recap them at the start of one of these debriefs so that we can all be on the same page about what it exactly is that we're getting at. So this is, of course, the official debrief for Operation Codename Ghost Recall. The goal of this meeting is to understand the events of that mission as you understand that they happened and as our systems have recorded. And I want you all to know that I'm on your side in this meeting. I may be asking some tough questions, but really I'm only anticipating the questions that Summit is going to ask me in our debrief later. So you can be absolutely open in this meeting in the knowledge that I am on your side. So if we can go round, we all know the basic mission parameters, and we all know that the mission was, in terms of its primary objective, a success.
A full success, yeah.
A full success.
I mean, we smashed it.
I would like to go round the meeting, round the participants, and if each of you can just let me know one of the major complications from your point of view. There is no naming names at this point. We will sort out responsibility for these complications at a later time on the agenda. But I would just like to know, from your points of view, the major things that were complicated, that went wrong, that were deleterious and to the success of the mission during its execution, if we can go in order of seniority.
Sure, well,
hang on. What kind of seniority are you talking about? Are you talking about your official ranks or who's the best person?
Do you not understand where you all sit in the service hierarchy?
Well, I mean, I used to be like higher up, but obviously we've come, we were brought back in for this one, so I'm not quite sure if I retained. I mean, does my service history roll over, in terms of my employment history with the service? I'm not sure, because if I had to come back and start again, that doesn't seem quite right.
That seems logical. Yes, that chimes with my records. So Anvil and Banks, of course, you are lower down the rank. Shall we start with Pigeon? What was the biggest complication from your point of view? And allow me to remind you that when giving these complications, I would like you all to bear in mind the service's value of efficiency. And imagine that you are writing this complication down on something like an index card, if that gives you an idea of the sort of length we're looking at.
I mean, the main problem that is, to be frank, still affecting me is that someone dropped my phone in the sea.
Oh, that is a serious breach of service data security, certainly, if that were to fall into the wrong hands.
And also water damage.
Also, yes, of course.
But I just want it on the record that I didn't drop it in, someone else did.
Anvil, from your point of view?
Well, it would have been a bit more straightforward if we hadn't had the completely incorrect schematics for the basilisk, which at the time of the mission led me to believe that those had been planted by a mole.
Incorrect schematics. Failure of mission prep. Potentially very serious. Banks, I believe you outranked Tanktop before you both left the service, so you're next.
Well, somebody appeared to get overly familiar with that fighter hippo, which, if nothing else, it wasted time and emotional energy when we were in the middle of a mission.
Understood. And we'll get to the details of the hippo later, and of the fraternization, of course. And Tanktop.
Yes, well, I suppose though Helix was indeed neutralized, it did take place in rather a drawn-out, like hand-to-hand battle on top of the basilisk. I'm just saying it could have been handled a lot quicker. I believe there was the whole like throwing the guns away, which I also think isn't particularly respectful of service infantry. And I think we could have probably come in a much more efficient time had that been dealt with a little bit more professionally, shall we say.
And maybe someone could have helped me by sniping me and shooting me in the back. Yeah, who knows?
I believe we're debriefing this mission, not previous.
Yes, Anvil. Previous missions are out of scope of this meeting. And, of course, as our own satellite records and ISP deep dives show, one of the copies of Mosaic's digital ghost was, in fact, released into the internet via the undersea data cable. Not a breach of the primary objective of the mission, but certainly a complication that is going to lead to future problems for the service and potentially the world. So we shall work out the responsibility for that also. Next on the agenda, for the record and for our impartial observers, some more details of each of your roles in the mission, please. So if we could state code names, what your role on the mission was. Were you the pilot? Were you the weapons expert? Were you the demolitions expert, the technical expert, and so on? Your key role in the mission. Your main contribution to the success of the mission, the completion of the primary objective. And because these meetings don't have to be a total drag, let's have a fun fact about each of you as well. In reverse order to last time. So Tanktop, you first.
Certainly. Well, my primary role was, of course, to infiltrate deep into the basilisk and implant the necessary.
Just infiltration specialist will do for now.
Oh yes. I was that.
And then your major contribution to success, I think.
Well, my major contribution, absolutely. I was trying to, be as efficient as possible and just go one run from the other. You see, so it was to infiltrate into the basilisk and implant the malware needed to power down the various subroutines of the basilisk, so that we could retrieve the data disks and assist in that was also like a double thing to assist in scuttling killing the basilisk as well if the opportunity presented itself, which of course it did. And fun fact about me, it was actually my centenary. This was my 100th successful infiltration. It's kind of short. I didn't think I was going to get there after obviously taking a little bit of leave there, but it was good to come back and really, drive that one home.
Well, I'm so glad I helped you have the opportunity.
Absolutely. Like all credit to Banks as well.
Yeah, the service thanks you for your service and for that contribution to the mission, infiltrating and inserting the malware, contributing to potentially scuttling the basilisk. I will award you a commendation. I am empowered to award commendations on behalf of Summit. Please all note all commendations and citations that you are issued in the course of this debrief. Thank you, Tanktop. Banks.
So my primary role was the pilot. That's above the water, and everything. And I got everybody successfully back home. You know my history with this. I'm one to go to, or to hope will turn up and save you.
Well, for rescuing your fellow agents, I am empowered to award you a commendation.
Thank you very much.
Can you share with us a fun fact?
I have started collecting glass frogs.
Oh, very interesting. That's so niche and interesting.
Thank you.
Next, Anvil.
So my role is weapons and combat specialist.
As always.
Yeah. My main role in the mission was to essentially clear the path with any security, neutralize any obvious threats, and to neutralize Helix, which I did successfully do in order to allow for the rest of the mission to be carried out.
Helix has been a thorn in the services side for a long time, so for eliminating that threat, I may award you a commendation.
Thank you very much, sir.
I shall award you a commendation.
Much appreciated. Oh, and a fun fact.
Don't think you're getting out of the fun fact, Anvil.
I've got a pet rock called Miranda.
Named after anybody, or?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, on that note, finally, Pigeon.
Yes. My role on the mission was distraction. I was hosting an event in the executive lounge in order to remove the majority of the consultancy operatives.
The deep undercover member of the team.
Yeah, that's right. Fun fact. Well, I mean, it's fun for me. I've recently been training cats to attack.
Recruiting new assets to the service. Very good.
Well, I mean, it's more of a personal thing, but okay.
Oh. Well, still, for your role in the mission, for distracting much of the consultancy's personnel with your event on the executive lounge, I am awarding you a commendation.
Thank you.
Finally, before we get into the deep debrief, the blow by blow, I would like to collect from each of you anonymous reports, and this is the point where you can name names. So each of you is going to give me a report about two of the others on the team. I will tell you who you need to tell me about. And this is the point where, of course, we keep these anonymous, and your contribution of these facts will not be revealed to the other members of the team in the name of team spirit and team cohesion. But of course, we want all agents to be able to express their opinions of each other's conduct fully and frankly to the service. Hence, this if you can submit these via the anonymous encrypted whistleblowing platform. Thank you, agents. I've now received all of your anonymous reports. There is now a short coffee break while I collate all of these notes in order to do the blow-by-blow debrief. I will be distracted during this period, so you should on no account use this time to collude, scheme, or plan betrayals among yourselves. Is that understood?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Completely.
All right, lovies. It's me, Matt, your compere, patrolling in the interval to make sure no one's leaking crucial plot intel to the Reddits. If you're enjoying this episode so far, I highly recommend you head to jeffstormer.com to find more games by Jeff Stormer. Games like the recent Anyone Can Wear the Mask, a game about a superhero, their nemesis, and the city they share. Or When You're Here, Your Family, the official, unofficial, live-action RPG of the Olive Garden chain of restaurants. Normally, next week would be a backstage episode, where we'd pull back the curtain on some of the non-story bits of the game, like character creation. But mission accomplished doesn't take a lot of setup. You've pretty much heard it all in this episode already, so there isn't really any backstage stuff to share for this production. So there won't be an episode next week, but then we'll pick up the story again as normal the week after, on the 18th of May. There will be a backstage episode the week after that, because no matter the game, you can always do a post-show discussion. Just before I go unfreeze the players for the next part of this scene, I want to draw your attention to your programme, where you'll find a glossy full-page ad for our friends at Sabotage the DM. This month is Sabotage the DM's 1-year anniversary, and from the 17th of May they're running 7 straight days of streams on their Twitch channel, including one-shots, guest spots and more. You can also catch their campaign of the Dungeons & Dragons adventure Dragon Heist every Monday on Twitch at 7 PM UTC+1. And if you do, you, the audience, can influence their adventure, spending points to turn hits into misses, rescues into double crosses, and daring escapes into tragic deaths. Or vice versa if you're feeling generous. Search Twitch for Sabotage the DM, or follow the link in the programme notes for this episode. After that, it's time to take your seats once again in the studio for Codename Mosaic Ghost Recall, Act 1 of 2.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Waterdeep Mole Rats Dragon Heist podcast.
And as she's like crossing over, she's like pulling out an empty jar, just like, yes, I want you. I want to study you so hard.
This audio is taken directly from our live stream, which you can see on twitch.tv/Sabotage the DM on Mondays at 7 PM in the UK or 11 AM Pacific Standard Time.
You know what we used to do when we were fighting and we were scared? We used to smoke. Here you go. How did that taste?
Great.
Our adventure will be played by a cast of immersive actors. Dan Berman, Pups the Goblin Monk.
Gabrielle McPherson, Oshi Sota, the Yuan-Ti Pureblood Rogue.
Rob Thompson, Big Fatch, the Warforged Barbarian.
And Evie James, Baggy, the Half-Orc Artificer.
She's going to try and steal it all off the table as much as she can get. And then run. Okay? Towards Ship Street. Ready? Oh, she's pissed.
We will join our adventurers as they move from their homes on Blackstar Lane in the Dock Ward and attempt to climb into the higher echelons of Waterdeep society
to join what is known as the Great Game or the Neverember Enigma.
In search of hundreds of thousands of stolen gold coins hidden somewhere in the city.
Oh, I don't know. What is it with pups and shit, man?
Welcome back, agents. Thank you all for your anonymously submitted mission reports. I trust the tea and coffee making facilities in your various safe houses are satisfactory.
No.
Yes, I suspected they might not be for you, Pigeon. Your exacting tastes are on a matter of record at this point. Now we come to the meat of the meeting, as it were, the blow-by-blow debrief of the mission codename Ghost Recall. If we could start with the pre-mission preparation, exactly how did the flaws and incorrect details in the schematics of the Consultancy's hovercraft fortress, the Basilisk, affect the mission, and who discovered them first?
I think I just must have discovered the flaws first when I was starting my infiltration and realized that some of the air ducts and various kind of crawl spaces I planned to utilize were not in fact there, or looked to be going in different directions. And I really had to think on my feet. And
it's good that you had your roller skates on in preparation.
Yes, I've found they are particularly helpful to, if you need an extra burst of speed, and also, of course, with the vulcanized rubber wheels on them, so generously provided by the service, silent as well. It's almost like you're ice skating, right? It really cuts down on those like heavy booted clomps around the metal interior of.
Now, Tanktop, I'm checking my records, and I don't see any mention of vulcanized rubber roller skates in the standard issue mission survival kit. Did you requisition those specifically?
Well, actually, this was something that I took a little bit of me time after the original Mosaic mission, and I spent some time really thinking about how one could improve the missions that we do here. So this was something that I created between coming back. This was my expense. And something that I have actually been meaning to go and talk to the quartermasters about implementing for the entirety of the service, because it has really helped me a lot. So I've got a lot of good data from this mission that I will be able to take back, and I really think this was proof of their effectiveness in the field.
Well, that bringing your own equipment does show admirable fiscal responsibility. So that's a commendation for you, Tanktop.
Oh, thank you, Cassette.
But back to the matter at hand, the schematics. So Tanktop discovered that the schematics were incorrect. Who was responsible for sourcing them in the first place? Don't all shout at once.
Well, I mean, it's a mixture of things, isn't it? Because I obviously was there already in deep cover, and we at that point hadn't been able to obtain any schematics at all. And whilst I was in deep cover, I did manage to obtain the copy that we were using by breaking into an office. And there was no way for me to know that they weren't accurate. They were maybe an old copy or something.
Yeah, unless they knew we were coming.
Oh yes. Now I believe in an earlier section of this meeting, Anvil, you did allude to the fact that this may have been enemy action.
Well, it just stood to reason to me that if Pigeon had secured the schematics from an office, there would be no reason for them to be so fundamentally incorrect unless someone had planted fake schematics for her to find. And that no one would do that unless they thought that there was a chance that they were being infiltrated.
That confidence in your teammate shows great team spirit, Anvil. That's a commendation for you. So there may have been enemy awareness of our infiltration from an early stage. We shall potentially get to the bottom of it. So Pigeon was already in position. Tanktop was infiltrating via the vents. How did we get from that point, Tanktop, to the point where you helped out Pigeon out of a tight spot by drawing attention to yourself at the Consultancy karaoke night by singing Living on a Prayer very loudly?
Well, as you know, Cassette, sometimes the best way to conceal yourself is just in full view of everybody. Sometimes you can be so bold and so present that people just won't, don't even think twice about whether you should be there. Pigeon, of course, had set up this karaoke competition. I was at the time it was going on, crawling through one of the vents above the event, and I spied that perhaps somebody may have clocked Pigeon, or I don't know. You get, after years of this, you get a sense, don't you? You get a sense of when somebody may maybe looking at it a bit too hard, thinking a little bit too much.
Perhaps Pigeon can supply details of exactly what sort of spot she was in at the time.
Well, I mean, as Tanktop says, there was a situation in which it felt as though my cover was about to be blown because one of the consultancy operatives that I was in that room with has actually appeared on a mission with us previously. And whilst he was somewhat indisposed during that mission, he recognised my perfume.
Wearing the same perfume 2 missions in a row, were you in the same cover, or should this have been a different persona that you were wearing?
Well, unfortunately, due to the recent budget cuts, I've not been able to acquire enough different perfumes to be able to sustain a well-rounded set of different identities down to different scent. So if maybe that could be raised at executive level, that would be very helpful.
It is good to know these things, and that does show admirable fiscal responsibility. That's a commendation for you, Pigeon.
Many thanks.
So you had potentially been made by an enemy agent who potentially already knew you. Tanktop was in the vents, noticed this happening. What happened then?
Well, as you, I'm sure, know from reading all the original briefing notes, is that flair is a big thing at these karaoke events. The various grunts of the Basilisk do like to put on a good show and to witness a good show. The Living on a Prayer had started. I was above the microphone in the vent at the time. I waited for the precise point to make the most dramatic and impactful of entrances. And just as it went, whoa, we're halfway there, I tumbled from the vent, perfect 3-point landing, stood up, straight into, whoa, Living on a Prayer. And, so sometimes you've got to big yourself up, haven't you? Because who else is going to do it? I brought the house down. All eyes were on me. It's not a situation I'm usually comfortable in that spotlight, particularly singing. So I really felt like I stepped up and owned that opportunity to improve myself and to improve my tradescraft. Made sure that Pigeon was, of course, able to extract herself from the situation, completed the song, took the thanks, and then sneaked out of the back door and continued on the mission.
And were you? Did you have a skin and an identity, an undercover persona active at the time, or did you simply plunge out of the vents in your tactical gear?
Well, thankfully, the tactical gear that we were is very similar to the tactical gear of the consultancy. Again, flair and costumes are something that is very much used. So any slight differences, I picked up a feather boa, popped on a hat, and really they were more impressed with the performance. It was all about the show, Give them the old razzle dazzle. They're not looking at the exact stitching on your trousers,
Well, it certainly sounds like you stepped outside of your comfort zone, Tanktop. So that is worth a commendation for personal development. However, your rendition of the song in question was captured by your body camera. And the service has been hit with a number of copyright strikes and fines for infringing, recording, pirating the track, which does not show good fiscal responsibility. So I'm afraid I must issue you also a citation.
Fair enough, but I would like just for the record to know that it is, of course, policy to keep your body cam on at all times, and I've kind of weighed it up, and I thought the infraction of turning off my body cam and perhaps reducing the amount of information that you had was kind of outweighed the copyright infringements. But I completely accept that. I still think it was the right call, but I will accept that.
Working within service protocol does show good respect for authority, so that's a commendation for you. Pigeon, does that account square with your version of events?
Yeah, I'd just like it noted on the record that one of the main reasons that the costume worked so well is that his rollerblades are sparkly, so the effect was pretty spectacular. And he made good use of the confetti cannons available on stage.
Well, that shows great forethought. That's another commendation for you, Tanktop.
Oh, that's very good. Really, I mean, I have to share my entire success here with Pigeon. Like, this is really when teams that have worked together over a long period of time really show their strengths. You understand what people might need. It's all about foresight, and anticipating the needs of your fellow agents.
Well, the two of you do seem to have worked very well together, and you're both full of praise for each other. So take a commendation each for team spirit. Just before we move on to the next key event in the mission, I'd just like to get an idea of where were Anvil and Banks at this point.
While Tanktop was doing his Living on a Prayer rendition, I was neutralising the skeleton security crew who were still on base and were not at the event, so that we would have access to all of the relevant areas that we needed to get to. I also want it noted on the record that this was also an opportunity for me to get into the office where they kept the schematics to try to locate a more accurate version of the layout of the basilisk.
Yes, we must have the right resources for the right mission. That shows commitment to excellence. Take a commendation, Anvil. And Banks, your whereabouts at this point?
I think I was at our mission control checking that all of our comms were still available and just having us as ready as I could for when we would need to leave.
Very good. Taking care of your teammates, great team spirits. Take a commendation.
Thank you.
So the next key event, of course, Tanktop's distraction at the karaoke night, the Consultancy's infamous karaoke night, did allow Pigeon to get away and to con the vital access codes out of Codename Pheasant, the technician on the quantum supercomputer deck of the hovercraft fortress Basilisk. Pigeon, can you talk us through that event?
Well, the thing you need to know about pheasant, whatever.
You should really be more familiar with the mission dossier, Pigeon.
It's a fun nickname I had going in my head, and luckily, obviously, I didn't ever refer to them that way. So this is Victor, and he's one of those sort of shy, slightly awkward, technically talented, but not great with people. So I was able to quite easily intimidate him into trying to impress me any way he could, and I talked him into providing the codes.
That does sound like you skirted towards fraternization there, which is not part of the mission protocol for this particular operation.
There's a clear line to be drawn between actually fraternizing and allowing your target to think that you might be willing to fraternize. And that can be key with luring them into a comfortable space where they feel like they can share information with you. And as you know from previous missions, I'm very good at treading that line.
It's something you've developed over many missions.
It's quite a skill, yes. I'm well known for being able to talk my way into and out of situations.
Very good, and it sounds like you used those skills to great effect. Take a commendation. That's good personal development.
Thank you.
On the subject of skirting the lines of fraternization, who can explain to me exactly what happened with Hungry, codename Helix's pet cybernetically enhanced attack hippopotamus? It was noted earlier in the meeting that there was some form of inappropriate conduct there, but who can tell me exactly what happened?
I think only Tanktop can really explain himself.
Yes, you're quite right, Banks. We must all, explain ourselves in this matter. Well, as you know, Hungry is a hippo. Hippos are the most dangerous creature on the planet. 2,000 people are killed a year by hippos, which is what I learned. One of many things I learned in my research before this mission. Hungry seemed like they were going to be a significant threat, and unfortunately, during my infiltration, Hungry got my scent. One thing that you may not be aware of, hungry hippos have an incredible sense of smell, enhanced, of course, by the cybernetic capabilities of this particular hippo. And it got my scent. They were also incredibly fast on land, up to 30 miles an hour at a sprint, and even on my vulcanized rubber rollerblades, felt that either I was going to lead this huge and dangerous beast on a merry chase, potentially blowing my cover and those of my colleagues, or I could implement other things that I have learned, which is how to subdue a hungry hippo.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yes, that is what it said on on WikiHow. So,
have you been Googling again? Because you shouldn't be doing that on mission.
Not on mission. This was pre-mission, and I stayed off company equipment this time. This was very much on my own phone.
Don't try and throw your colleagues under the bus, Pigeon. That's a citation under Team Spirit.
Oh.
So I discovered that a great way to do the thing is first you've got to look them in the eye, and as they approach, you go, "Ooh," which I did, and they will follow your hands.
Like a ghost?
Yeah, well, no, like
Whoa.
a person, like someone subduing a hippopotamus.
Right.
So you suggest, whoa, and then you move very slowly, always keeping eye contact. Eye contact is key. You rotate your hands thus to show open palms.
Tanktop, I'm going to need you to wrap up this story in the next 30 seconds or I'm giving you a citation under efficiency.
Absolutely. I'm just like getting to the... You then have to approach them slowly and you just tickle them under the chin. You start at the chin, then you just kind of go lower and lower towards the small back, and then they roll over, and then you can just tickle the small... Now, some people may see that as fraternization. I do, however, wonder whether the rules of fraternization apply to animals being subdued or actual people in which we may find ourselves in romantic entanglements. And I took a call that it probably doesn't apply to animals we're trying to subdue, and better a subdued hippo than a rampaging one.
Well, I can't say fairer than that. This has been Codename Mosaic Ghost Recall, a studio production from Merely Roleplayers. It stars Ellie Pitkin as Agent Pigeon, Helen Stratton as Agent Banks, Strat as Agent Tanktop, and Vikki as Agent Anvil. Our theme music is a collaboration between Alexander Pankhurst and me, Matt Boothman. I also play Agent Cassette, as well as editing and producing the episode. We were playing Mission Accomplished, the role-playing game of super spies and office meetings created by Jeff Stormer. You can find Mission Accomplished and many other fine games at jeffstormer.com. Merely Roleplayers is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on.
Can the whistleblowing platform be called Toot?